It's been a long time, hasn't it? And I just want to start by saying thank you to everyone. I mean, really from the bottom of my heart, thank you to everyone who over the last 4 years helped fund us, helped with our pay our lawyers' fees and the litigation costs. They have been absolutely astronomical and backbreaking. And I just want to start by saying thank you to everyone, absolutely everyone who supported us in this endeavor. The plaintiffs who were suing us didn't get the victory they wanted to. They've been shouting from the rooftops, of course, that they were able to get a judgment against us from the jury. However, that isn't exactly what it seems initially, and I do want to get into that a little bit later. But the first thing I want to start with, again, huge thanks to everyone who has donated in the past. I can't tell you how much that has helped. We would not have had this, what I consider a huge partial victory. Again, I'm going to get to that, but if it weren't for you, if it weren't for your donations. But before I will review the lawsuit and the case and the outcome, but before I get to that, I do want to start by asking if any of you want to still help out. It's still not too late. I myself, for about the last year, have been funding a big part of the lawyer's fees out of my own pocket. It's not a burden I've wanted to put on other people, although there have been a lot of other people who have helped even during that time, but there's only so much I can ask of certain people, and so I'm just going to the public. I know that we had a lot of support in the past, and I believe that support is not only still there, but I think it's growing. And I would just ask that if you want to donate more, we could definitely use your help. I'm going to set a goal and try to aim at raising $10,000. There are still a lot of court costs going on right now. There are post-trial motions, which are motions that are filed by our attorney following this judgment. And there will also be appeals, and if it gets to it, there will also be bankruptcy court and so on that we got to deal with stuff, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But I've been shouldering a huge amount of the cost for the last year or so, and I'm gonna be honest, I could really use some help. I've been falling behind on a lot of things, unfortunately. And so if that is something that you feel is something that you would want to help support, I could not thank you enough from the bottom of my heart. I'm going to put something on the screen right now. It's going to be likely my attorney's address to where you can send a check and money order, and that way you can just send it straight to him. Doesn't even need to touch my hands. That way I'm not going and buying myself a nice Christmas gift or anything like that. As I said, this is strictly for attorney's fees. And I just want to say again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I will try to give updates as to how far we're coming along, or whether or not we're going to reach that goal again. We're gonna set the bar at 10,000. We want to see if we can raise 10,000. And like I said, there's still a lot of fees that are involved in things. There's still transcripts that we're trying to get our hands on that we were unable to afford. You really don't understand just how expensive litigation is until you get involved with it. Even some of the costs for the depositions can range in the thousands of dollars per deposition. And attorney's fees can be, hundreds of dollars an hour. So anything would be helpful, and I would really appreciate that. So I do want to start off by saying, going back to the case, it was not the victory that the plaintiffs were looking for. In fact, the major 2 allegations against us. The first 2 charges out of 6 charges were the racial conspiracy charges, and we got a hung jury. And I cannot impress upon you just how absurd these claims are, that even in civil court is different than criminal court. The bar is much lower, and even in civil court, where they were allowed to use circumstantial evidence to hold us liable, and it's not the same thing. Civil court's a little different. When you are found liable in civil court, you're not being actually found guilty of what you're being accused of. It's just a decision on whether or not you should be financially liable for alleged damages, and whether or not there is a 51% chance probability that you may have done what you were accused of. And so the bar is just absolutely incredibly low. And even given that incredibly low bar, they still got a hung jury. They were allowed to use circumstantial evidence to hold us liable. And they did not win on the racial conspiracy allegations. So that is a huge victory, because that was a large part of the the hubbub and the media fanfare regarding the Sines versus Kessler case, was that they were making false allegations that we went to Charlottesville as part of some plot, some conspiracy to commit racial violence and terrorize minorities. And that's pretty much the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And anyone who had anything to do with that rally, or anything to do with the alt-right, knows that's just hogwash. It's not true. So they did not win. They did not succeed on those 2 charges. Now, I myself personally was only had one other charge of the 6 charges against me, and that was some sort of statute in specific to Virginia, where I was essentially they were alleging that I was part of some conspiracy to commit violence, and again, that was based on purely circumstantial evidence. I did not commit any violence while I was in Charlottesville. In fact, prior to going to Charlottesville, I even went so far as to tell all of my members several days prior to stay away from Antifa, to stay away from counter-protesters. I said, these people don't want to listen to you. They have nothing to say to you. I told them that I understand that, I got involved in the fighting that happened at Berkeley, and there were reasons for that. I was never charged for anything because I didn't do anything illegal. I was protecting myself and other people from violent terrorist criminals who would come there to shut the rally down. And despite not having done anything illegal or immoral, I understood it to be a serious strategic problem. I knew it was going to open us up to, quite frankly, potential litigation, as did happen with the Sines versus Kessler case, and that's exactly what they used. But I also knew that a trap was being laid for us. It was very clear and obvious at that point in 2017 that cops were repeatedly standing down and allowing Antifa to come attack peaceful, pro-white, or even just in that case, in the case of Berkeley, it was just a free speech rally. It wasn't even a pro-white rally. And I knew that a trap was being laid for us by government officials. And they knew they couldn't shut down our rally, but they knew that they had, used the media and used the educational system to just completely, brainwash people, get people agitated and worked up to come down and try to shut down, rallies themselves. And so all they had to do was stand aside and allow it to happen, and then create a bogus narrative about, how the violence happened. It's I've compared it to, a football game when someone is fouled, and then they retaliate against the person, and then all the ref, he turns around and all he sees is the guy retaliating after he's been hit. And that's what was happening to us, and I knew it. And I told our members, I said, stay away from Antifa, stay away from counter protesters. You know, if they try to harm you, try to get away, try to escape the area. And in fact, a lot of people weren't happy with me for doing that. But unfortunately for me, I told my members to do that in a voice chat, and there was no record of it. And so I wasn't able to use that as a defense in court. And also it was very difficult as far as getting witnesses to show up and testify on our behalf. I was very concerned about their lives being ruined. We just saw in the last week, there were 2 young men who took their own lives just within the last few days. And in fact, one of them I actually knew and was a friend of mine. And I didn't want that happening to anybody else. There was another gentleman within weeks of Charlottesville, or months, I believe, who also took his own life. He was fired, lost his job, lost his home, lost everything. And I didn't want to ask that of people because I knew how damaging it could be. And so we decided not to bring witnesses on and just suck it up and say, look, you know, they don't have the evidence to, you know, for these allegations. They're unsubstantiated. All they're using is circumstantial evidence and statements made out of context. And that's exactly what they did. And they did succeed on the 3rd charge. Now, that being said, they haven't fully succeeded yet. There are lots of post-trial motions going on. There are appeals that very well may be placed. But you know, this isn't the success they think it is. And also, that being said, if post-trial motions, if post-trial motions fail, if you know, appeals fail, they still have to chase me down into bankruptcy court, which has not only a higher standard than you know, civil court. It has a higher standard of evidence than criminal court. So they're not going to be able to succeed in bankruptcy court against me. Now, do I want it to go there? No, because what's going to end up happening is I'm going to be stuck in years and years more of litigation, and I would like to move on with my life. And obviously that is the point. That is exactly what they want to do. They want to bog me and other people down in litigation as long as they can, the rest of our lives, if they could. This is lawfare. This is exactly what they're doing. They know it. Roberta Kaplan's admitted to it. And so, you know, I think in the end we're gonna win, but I could really absolutely use your help right now. And one last thing while I'm thinking about it is the charges themselves on the 3rd charge. It was a very strange outcome because in civil court there are 2 financial penalties. One is compensatory, and the other will come to me in a minute. But compensatory damages are essentially what the plaintiffs, the people who have launched the lawsuit, what they're claiming to have suffered as far as damages go from the defendant's actions. And as far as those went, they only received $1 a piece. So that was basically the jury saying, well, we don't really believe that these people were actually hurt by any of the actions of the defendants. But then when it came to punitive damages, the other type of damages I was having difficulty recalling, punitive damages are to punish the defendant essentially for, you know, either incompetence or, you know, bad behavior or maliciousness that led to the damages in the first place. And so while they gave the, not even all the defendants, 2 of the defendants, Elizabeth Sines and Seth Wispelway, didn't receive anything at all. They received $0 from that. So these other plaintiffs got $1 a piece, which is a joke. It's an absolute joke. But when it came to punitive damages, the jury awarded them pretty much $500,000 apiece, with the exception of a couple of the organizations like IE, it was like $1 million punitive damages. And that doesn't really make a lot of sense. If you've done something so absolutely horrific, you know, as far as harming someone, then, you know, you would think that their compensatory damages, you know, the actual physical suffering or emotional suffering they had, would be more than $1. And so the punitive damages are completely out of proportion with the compensatory damages. And that is part of the post-trial motions that we're going to be pushing against and pushing back on. Now, there are a couple good things. So first off, punitive damages in the state of Virginia cannot be more than $350,000. So $150,000 of that's going to be cut right off the top. We're going to get that. We're going to succeed in it. And looking at the law, it may actually be a little bit more. Originally, I was thinking that it was $350 apiece. So I would owe $350. My co-defendants would owe $350, so on and so forth. But it may be more than that, looking at the law and the way I've read it. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm gonna kind of wait and see. But it seems like it says for the entire action or the entire lawsuit that punitive damages cannot exceed $350,000. So we'll see how that goes. But it's likely to get dropped down even further, because there's long-standing law, case law, that's gone all the way to the Supreme Court that says that, you know, compensatory damages and punitive damages have to have some relation. And that makes sense. I mean, if you're punishing someone, then that should be relative to, you know, what they've actually allegedly done. And so, you know, there isn't an actual set number that I'm aware of, but it seems to be somewhere in the ballpark of at least, you know, 10 or 20 or 30 times the amount of compensatory damages. Well, $500,000 is, you know, I'm not going to do the math. It's 500,000 times one. You know, it's 500,000 times, you know, the amount, which is absurd. It's completely detached, and it basically amounts to the jury didn't like the plaintiffs, and they didn't like us either. It was kind of like giving us all the middle finger, which in a way is pretty funny, quite frankly. But that being said, that is the outcome of Saenz versus Kessler. There were some other outcomes as far as the last 3 charges. I wasn't involved in those. I'm not going to get into them. The last 2 had to do with I believe the gentleman who was involved with the car accident, and the other one had to do with a couple other people. It wasn't even me. So and as far as I'm aware, the 4th charge actually looks like it stands the best chance of actually being thrown out on appeal. Because it's in quite clear violation of First Amendment speech. So, but that didn't have anything to do with me, and so I haven't spent a lot of time studying or looking into it. But that's how the Saenz versus Kessler case went. It's quite frankly, it's still ongoing. There's even a possibility that the first 2 charges may be tried again. But right now, again, I'm just going to ask one last time. I could use all the help I could possibly get financially. I've been set way back. Trial was very expensive, and I'm falling behind, quite frankly. I'm falling behind, and I need some help. So if you can, out of the bottom of your heart, you know, for this Christmas season, I would really absolutely appreciate it. Anything is plenty. Again, you could send it to my attorney. I'm going to have the address one last time on the screen, or anywhere else you can send money. That's going to be on the screen. It's going to be in the description. Make sure you mark it out to say that it is for Nathan Damigo's legal defense, and I would greatly appreciate that. Other than that, thank you so much, everyone who has contributed to this over the last several years. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. This was, quite frankly, not a loss. This was, I would go so far as to say, a major partial victory. But it's still not over, and I could still use your help. So anything is plenty. Happy Yule to all of you out there, and Merry Christmas.